Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, real quick, I didn't think I was going to be doing a video this morning. My next video, I'm going to do two videos this morning. My next video, I'm going to talk about the reason why. I took a serious wipeout on my bike yesterday, on my mountain bike, and I am hurting this morning. I'm having a hard time breathing. I didn't think I'd be sitting here. Okay, but what I want to talk about in this video, and I didn't think I'd be talking about this either. Gus Walz, Tim Walz's son. I think everybody's seen this video clip now where Tim Walz, running for vice president, was up on the stage, and his son, who apparently has learning disabilities, I think he's in his teens maybe, was so overcome by pride, being proud of his father, he started crying. His father has a good chance of becoming vice president, and started saying, "That's my dad," and he started crying. That's the first part of the story. Okay, the second part of the story came a little later, when people on the right-wing pundits, Trump supporters, and this doesn't even surprise me, unfortunately, started bullying him, calling him all sorts of names and making fun of him for his emotional display. And I'm not going to talk about much about what they said. I can't really talk about what they said. But I'm going to tell you how I felt. And I wasn't going to talk about this. First of all, I didn't think anybody would really understand how I felt. Because I'm not sure I understand why I feel this way. Okay, the first part, when Gus Walz stood up, the emotional crying, "That's my dad." When I saw this, I felt envy and fear. And this is why I said I wasn't going to make a video talking about this, because you're probably wondering, that's probably one of the last things you'd expect me to say. The envy, maybe, but the fear, and I don't even know why I feel this way. My father died from terminal brain cancer when I was 9 years old. He died within 6 months of discovering he had it. He was a strong bandsman, a forest firefighter. He was the park ranger, the head man at the state park here in Connecticut. And we moved into the ranger's house. I lived in the state park, me and my little sister. And I remember my father being so proud. He'd wear the Smokey Bear uniform outfit and everything, and my sister was born, and he was handing out "It's a Girl" cigars, and I was 6 years old, and he was so, I remember I was 6 years old, but I remember him being so excited. He had this new job being ranger of the state park with a boy and a girl, and his wife, my mom, and I was 6 years old, but I could just see the joy on his face. And then he got brain cancer, and I watched him die. I watched him go from that man to literally, this is the part I hate, I saw him weaving baskets in the hospital, in one of the hospital rooms in Norwich, Connecticut. He had shrunk down, he had lost like half his weight, his head was all shaved. He didn't even recognize me. He didn't know my name, 9-year-old son. And he was weaving baskets because they had performed brain cancer. It was terminal malignant brain cancer, and I learned what that meant at 8 or 9 years old. That means he was going to die, and I knew that. Right before he died, he said, I told me I'm the man of the family, 9 years old, and he had a gun collection, and I knew where the guns were, and he wanted me to protect my mother and my sister, and he was serious about this. He taught me how to shoot. We lived out in the middle of the woods. There was a lot of weirdos in the park and everything. And I remember this one night. I've talked about this before. After my father had passed away, I was sitting on the living room floor. My mom was sitting on the couch, and we were watching Love Boat. And my little sister was only 1 or 2 years old. She was asleep in her crib. It was about 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. And we hear a car pulls up. There's no neighbors for miles here. No street lights. We have the old, the phone line running into the house, so they could just cut that. And I hear a bunch of yelling and screaming, a bunch of people, and car doors opening. And, there's no neighbors. We're in the middle of the woods, and these people are right in front of the house. And I look at my mom, and she's just terrified. She's like frozen like a deer. on the couch. And right then, it was up to me. I was about 10 years old, and I knew where my father's 12 gauge double barrel over and under Antonio Zoli shotgun was. It was loaded with two shells of double-aught buck. And should I get it? And I start hearing smashing like they're going to come in the house. And I get up to go run into the bedroom to get the gun. And then I hear the car doors and I hear the car drive away. So just before I got to the gun, they drove away. I became a man that night. I'm not saying that to be funny or joking. I mean, I literally grew up into a man right there that night. When I see people like Gus Walz, especially like on Father's Day, and guys being so close to their fathers, I don't know what that feels like. I honestly have no idea. When I think of my father, I feel fear. I feel scared. I think it's because of those incidents, losing my father when he didn't know my name, and realizing that we lived in the state house, and the only reason we lived in that state house is because my father had the job of park ranger. And even at 9 years old, I knew once he dies, we're not going to be able to live in that house anymore. Not only will I lose my father, I'm going to be the man of the family, and we're going to be homeless. We weren't homeless, but so when like on Father's Day, when I see a boy talking about, or a grown man talking about his dad and loving his dad, I honestly have no idea what that feels like. I really don't. I'm kind of envious because I'm totally clueless. When I think of my father, I feel fear. I just feel nothing but fear. Right now I'm feeling it. So, all right, now let's move on to the second part of the story, with the right-wing pundits making fun of Gus Walz. What can I say? They're freaking idiots. They don't know what they have. When I saw the story about these guys making fun, they called him a blubbering b-boy. And then worse. There's times when I wonder, I ask myself, all throughout my life, I've always reassessed, am I doing the right thing, all throughout recovery and whenever I got a job, I stop for a second, I look at my life and I want to ask myself, I want to be sure I'm on the right path. I don't want to be 20 years down the road and like I did with drugs and realize that I'm doing the wrong thing. So time to time, I wonder if voting for the Democrats is the right thing. When I see stories like this, of these people, Trump supporters, making fun of this kid, it makes me 100% certain in my heart that I am voting for the right side, the right people, the Democrats, Kamala Harris. The good in this country. And the hypocrisy of this is that Republicans claim to be the idea that this Republican Party is the family values party is just such a joke at this point. Here you have this kid that's got learning disabilities that is driven to tears by the love of his father, and they make fun of it. That's the opposite. It's the anti-family party. It makes me certain that I'm voting for the right people. When I see that ugliness, the stuff they said about Gus Walz, in my heart, I'm like, I know, I am on the right path. I am voting for the good people of this country. And I am 100% certain of that when I see people like this and the way they talked about Gus Walz. And that's how I felt, when I saw Gus Walz crying. I don't know what that feels like, because I feel nothing but fear when I see that. I'll be back later with another video. You guys have a good Saturday.